What if the place meant to care for you ends up causing more harm than good? For many, nursing homes promise safety and support, but deliver unexpected loneliness, loss of control, and financial strain. One resident's heartfelt confession reveals 6 harsh truths about nursing home life. Truths rarely discussed, but critical to know before making this life-altering decision. From the crushing weight of isolation to the shocking decline in family visits, these insights could change how you plan for the future. Don't let lack of knowledge dictate your later years. Read on to uncover what no one tells you about nursing homes and how to protect yourself or your loved ones. There comes a time in life when you start thinking about the future in ways you never did before. Maybe it's when you notice it takes a little longer to get up from your favorite chair, or when you hear a friend mention they're moving to an assisted living facility. Suddenly, questions you never imagined asking yourself start creeping in. Will I need help someday? Could a nursing home be in my future? Let me tell you something right up front. I never thought I'd be the one saying this, but I regret going to a nursing home. Not because the people there were unkind, not because the facility was substandard, but because of things I simply didn't understand until it was too late. Today, I want to share with you 6 hard-won truths about nursing homes, realities that aren't often discussed but absolutely should be. These are insights that could help you or someone you love make more informed decisions about care options later in life. Truth number 1, loneliness can be worse than illness. When my family first suggested a nursing home, we focused on all the practical benefits. You'll have people checking on you regularly, they said. You won't have to worry about meals or cleaning. What nobody mentioned was how profoundly lonely it can feel, even when you're surrounded by people. I remember my first month there. The staff was professional and efficient. My room was clean and comfortable, but something essential was missing: real connection. In my old life, even simple interactions gave my days meaning. Chatting with the mail carrier, waving to neighbors during my morning walk, calling my granddaughter just to hear about her day. In the nursing home, interactions became transactional. Time for your medication? Here's your lunch. Let's get your vitals checked. The busy staff didn't have time for conversation beyond the necessities. Other residents were often dealing with their own health challenges, making socializing difficult. What shocked me most was discovering how damaging this isolation could be to my health. Research shows that chronic loneliness in older adults can be as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It's associated with higher risks of heart disease, depression, and even dementia. The very place meant to protect my physical health was inadvertently harming my mental and emotional well-being. If you're considering this option for yourself or a loved one, please ask tough questions about how the facility fosters real connections. Are there small group activities that encourage meaningful interaction? Does the staff have time to actually converse with residents? Are there programs that connect residents with the outside community? Truth number 2, loss of control happens faster than you'd imagine. Before moving into the nursing home, my life was filled with small but significant choices. What time to wake up, what to have for breakfast, whether to spend the afternoon reading or gardening. These daily decisions gave me a sense of autonomy and purpose that all changed more quickly than I ever anticipated. Suddenly, nearly every aspect of my life was scheduled and regulated. Meals were served at strict times. Bathing happened when it fit the staff's schedule, not when I preferred. Even simple pleasures like choosing what to watch on television became complicated when shared common spaces were the only option. One particular incident stands out in my memory. I have always been an early riser, and for years I enjoyed making myself a cup of tea first thing in the morning. In the nursing home, I was told I couldn't keep an electric kettle in my room for safety reasons. When I asked if I could get tea before the scheduled breakfast time, I was gently but firmly told that the kitchen didn't open until 7:30. This might seem like a small thing, but these accumulated losses of personal choice took a real psychological toll. Research in gerontology shows that maintaining personal autonomy is crucial for emotional well-being in later life. The less control we feel over our daily lives, the faster our sense of self can erode. If a nursing home becomes a consideration, look carefully at how much personal choice residents maintain. Can they keep small appliances in their rooms, decorate their spaces personally, choose their own schedules when possible? These details make all the difference in maintaining dignity and identity. Truth Burr 3. The financial reality is more complicated than advertised. When we first discussed the nursing home option, we focused on the monthly fee. It seemed expensive, but manageable. What we didn't anticipate were all the additional costs that slowly but steadily added up. There were charges for every extra, things I had assumed would be included in the basic fee. Medication management fees, laundry service charges, costs for transportation to medical appointments, even fees for activities that were described in the brochure as part of regular programming. Perhaps most frustrating were the subtle ways costs could increase over time. As my care needs changed slightly, new charges appeared. When I needed more assistance with mobility, there was an additional fee for enhanced support services. When my doctor recommended a different vitamin regimen, the facility's medication administration fee increased because it involved more doses per day. This financial reality creates terrible stress for residents and families alike. I watched fellow residents' families struggle with difficult decisions when resources ran low. Some residents had to move to less expensive rooms or reduce their level of care because of financial constraints. Before choosing a facility, insist on complete transparency about all potential costs. Ask for a written list of every possible fee, no matter how small. Inquire about how costs might increase if care needs change. Talk to current residents and their families about their actual experience with expenses. Truth Burr 4. Family visits often decline more than expected. One of the comforting thoughts when I moved in was that my family would visit often. "We'll come by all the time," they promised. And I believe they meant it. But the reality turned out to be quite different. At first, visits were frequent, but as weeks turned into months, the gaps between visits grew longer. It wasn't that my family didn't care. Life simply got in the way. Work demands, children's activities, household responsibilities. The 30-minute drive that seemed manageable at first became harder to fit into busy schedules. What made this especially painful was watching the same pattern repeat with other residents. The woman across the hall whose daughter visited daily for the first month, then weekly, then just on holidays. The man down the way whose son lived just 10 minutes away, but rarely appeared. Studies show this is a common phenomenon. Research from the University of California found that family visit frequency to nursing home residents typically declines by about 50% after the first 6 months. The reasons are understandable. Caregiver fatigue, the emotional difficulty of these visits, competing responsibilities, but the impact on residents is profound. If you're considering this option, have honest conversations with family about realistic visit expectations. Consider choosing a facility closer to where family members actually live and work, not just geographically convenient at the moment. Explore whether the facility offers technology to help with virtual visits when in-person ones aren't possible. Truth 5. The transition home. After a short-term stay can be surprisingly difficult, my journey actually began with what was supposed to be a short-term rehabilitation stay after a minor surgery. Just a few weeks to get back on your feet, the doctor said. But those few weeks turned into months, and before I knew it, I was signing long-term paperwork. What shocked me was how quickly I became institutionalized, how dependent I grew on the facility's routines and support. Things that had been simple before Managing my own medications, preparing meals, even doing laundry, suddenly felt overwhelming when the time came to consider going home. This isn't just my experience. A Johns Hopkins study found that nearly 30% of seniors who enter nursing homes for short-term rehab end up staying long-term, often because they lose the confidence and ability to return to independent living. The very system designed to help them recover sometimes makes them less capable of returning home. If a temporary stay is being considered, ask about the facility's transition program. Do they actively work to maintain residents' independence? Are there areas where residents can practice self-care skills? How do they prepare residents to return home? Truth number 6, the quality of care can vary dramatically, day to day. Perhaps the most unsettling discovery was how inconsistent the quality of care could be. Some days everything ran smoothly. Staff were attentive, meals were good, and my needs were anticipated. Other days, especially weekends and holidays, it felt like an entirely different facility. Staffing ratios made all the difference. When the facility was fully staffed, care was excellent, but on understaffed days, everything suffered. Response. Times for call buttons increased, personal attention decreased. Even basic services like help with bathing sometimes had to be postponed. This inconsistency isn't unique to my experience. A recent report from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services found that staffing levels are the single biggest predictor of care quality in nursing homes. Yet most families don't think to ask about staff-to-resident ratios during different shifts. When evaluating facilities, ask tough questions about staffing. What's the ratio of caregivers to residents on evenings and weekends? How often do they use temporary agency staff? What's their staff turnover rate? Visit at different times, including during a meal and on a weekend, to see the differences for yourself. Looking ahead. These 6 truths only scratch the surface of what I've learned through this difficult experience. In our next conversation, we'll explore practical alternatives to nursing home care, strategies for maintaining independence longer, and questions every family should ask before making these important decisions. For now, I'd encourage you to think about which of these truths surprised you most. Have you or a loved one experienced similar situations? Your stories and insights could help others navigate these challenging decisions with more clarity and confidence. Remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to making choices about our care and quality of life in our later years. What we don't know can indeed hurt us, but what we learn and share can make all the difference. Your voice matters. Have you or a loved one faced similar challenges in a nursing home? Share your story in the comments below to help others learn from your experience. For more resources on aging with dignity and exploring alternatives to nursing homes, subscribe to our newsletter and join thousands making informed choices about their future. Together, we can rewrite the narrative of elder care, one truth at a time.